Where's my face? There we go. Hey bunnies, how you doing? Welcome back to the stream. We'll find some more Stardew Valley tonight. I just dripped all over myself. Beautiful. It's a bit of a late one. I'm sorry. I had to do some exercise before I started because I was dying. And now I'm here and we're ready to go. I don't remember what we were doing last at all because I think, did we skip a week? I think we skipped a week. No, we didn't skip a week. Why do I just have no idea what we were doing? I mean, we were just kind of doing the community center and then mining when we had the chance, I think was basically what was happening. So let's assume that's how we're still going. We bought the backpack. I can see that I have 2 slots here, so we have the backpack now. I don't remember if that was like the last thing we did. Oh, you know what? It was like crop harvesting time, wasn't it? Maybe? I don't know. But let's jump into it. There's the cat. Do I get to water? I don't have any loot for you. How do I water you? Okay, it is raining. Oh, no crops to be harvested? Strawberries to be harvested. No other crops to be harvested. And none of these need to go to a thing. I'm pretty sure you can make like strawberry jam and stuff with fruit, but I don't need to right now. So we won't bother with that right now. We still need... We have everything for a mayonnaise machine, but we don't have eggs. There's no point. That's what we were doing. We were trying to... Oops. We were going to check out the coops and stuff like that. I don't need green beans, do I? No. Alright. So let's... Carrot. Was that there the whole time? Am I stupid? Okay. Are we done harvesting crops? I've just gone through the same crops like 100 times. That's how you do that. Cool. I knew there was a thing to do it. Okay. This way to Marnie. I don't remember what the person's name is. Nope, down. It's down anyway. We should make paths to these places so that I can look at them and go, that's where this goes, instead of having to wade through grass, which seems to slow me down. So I probably should look into clearing some of it. And I can buy grass seed, so I don't need to like keep it. I've been trying to keep some of it just in case I want like cows and stuff to come in. Oh, I need to go to Robin first, don't I? I need to actually have the barn before I try and do that. So let's go to the barn. I feel like it doesn't sound like a big stretch for it to be 1,000 or like 1,200 maybe to get animals. I don't think I want to buy any more plants for spring. I don't remember if I was going to. I probably have enough time, but I don't know if I was going to. Up to the left. Is that how that goes? And I have enough money that I can't go up to the left. That I don't think I need to, like I have enough stuff planted that I don't think I need to plant any more for spring yet. I may as well do other like mining and stuff, and then when summer comes around, unless the seasons are off. Yes, it's quite wet. Can I talk to you? Sorry, it smells weird in here, Epic. It's my husband's bizarre science project. Alright, you didn't have to call it a bizarre science project. You could just say science project. 4,000 for a coop. 6,000 for a barn. 1,000 for a well. I don't need a well. Cut and store grass for feed. That could be important. A shed would be nice. Home for a friend. Is that for like the multiplayer? There's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, we need 4,000 gold is what we're saving for. I have 8 torches. I think we can try and get to the next level in the dungeon. Just while we're here, and then we can sell some of that stuff to get more money. Oh, you can't pick that up again after you've... Interesting. I don't really want stone. There's nothing in the start of this to, like, get me anywhere? Interesting. Ah. Ooh. Oh, I didn't think that was copper ore. I thought that was something. It looked like it was red, not orange, and I thought it was that like fire shard thing that they were talking about. Fire crystal from, but I think that's in like big later dungeons, right? Because there's like basically a nether, not really, but like I think there's like basically a nether. I still have no idea if there's like a place where the tunnel is located, or if it's more just there's a chance when you mine that a tunnel will show up. I wonder where the bat's coming from. That was a weird spot. Oh, you can get it back. Good to know. In which case, I will grab it. I probably should have grabbed the torch from the last place also. I don't know, do I just mine? Does it matter if it's a one hit or a multi-hit? Who knows? Ooh, what are you? Oh, I've already mined you. Because I have turbos in my inventory already, right? Yeah. Seems like this is just a free torch area, essentially, which I'm happy about, because I didn't have enough. Okay. Sick. I probably was gonna go get the geodes appraised or whatever they call it. crushed. That did not hurt this guy. I don't think I need to use my right click because I guess it pushes them back, but I don't really need that either. Alright, I think I'm out of like cool rocks to get. Ooh, someone should eat. Nothing. Are we certain? I want to say, have I already done, like, unlocked the tunnel somewhere? But, oh, I have. Did I know that? Bug snacks. Whoops. Nice. Alright. Oh, more... okay. We could use some coal. I forget how to get coal. Ow, I just smack it. Where did you come from? Oh, it's like a... okay, maybe it's better than I thought it was. I didn't realize it was an AoE situation. Oh, and these guys are giving me iron ore too, which is very nice, because that's what I needed for something. I have no idea. Other than the iron bar for the community center, I don't know. Don't remember what I needed iron for. Ooh, yeah, let's take it. Come on, I don't have time for this. I need to get to wave 40 for some reason. Yeah, it doesn't do much, but it's good AoE. The moving and fighting combat is not for me. I just keep forgetting that I've got to turn around to actually do anything. Didn't mean to do that. Where's my ladder? Excuse me? Is this guy faster than me? I thought it'd fling back a little bit more. I don't know why I did that. Go. Hey, a chest. A slingshot? Just requires stones and I can shoot stuff. That's pretty sick. Ooh, there's an achievement to reaching the bottom. Okay. Cool. Can I break that? Not yet. Oh, it's still raining outside. I guess I assumed it would be raining constantly. I still don't know if I get more money for selling things to the box or if it's just like an ease of use thing. I'll keep... Do I need the bat wings for any crafting yet that I know of? Not that I know of. I'll keep the bug meat for cooking. Just the one. Alright, so we've got plenty more copper to do. I'm guessing everyone's pretty much inside to avoid the rain. But you... Ooh. Prize leak. Interesting. Ooh. Hello, sir. I might see a frog, you're right. Do you like bug meat? He doesn't like bug meat. I wonder why. Alright, let's go down here. I think we'll just go straight back. Because there's nothing we can do now anyway. It's pretty much midnight. We don't need to water anything. Let's just check the bulletin board. Yes, we got a week left. I don't really want to buy any more crops. Ooh. 1 amethyst? I shouldn't have done that, should I? Which one's Harvey? The doctor? It says 2 days. It says 2 days. Deliver sometime today. It's 2. Okay. Okay. I was a little bit scared, but it's fine. Why is that red? So this turnip. Sorry, leek. And we've got 1 amethyst, which we will... Oh, we'll sell the quartz too. I don't need the quartz for anything, do I? No. We probably don't need the topaz either. Whoops. 5. Okay, fine. Do I have more than 2? I guess not. Did I sell? Oh, I did sell the bat wings. Oh, I did need it. I forgot about the boiler room. Yeah, I needed 10. I probably could have done that. It's not the last thing I put on there. Oh no, I sold it to the adventurer, didn't I? That's alright. 10's not hard to get. It's just annoying that I forgot. Take all that, because I'm going to need it tomorrow. What do I need the parsnip for? I need 5 parsnips. Okay. See. I think that's everything. Yep. I forgot. Oh, I wouldn't have needed to give the cat a drink. $1,000 golden strawberries. Hell yeah. $4,000 was what I needed, wasn't it? Okay, I need to give the amethyst to Harvey. I need to get Gunther this. And let's open up all the geodes and see if we can make money off any of them. What are you? Parsnip. Prize parsnip. No, don't eat it. No, don't eat it. Wait. Oh, like, it has to be gold specifically. Okay. She could, like, link chests to the thing so it just goes. That'd be sick. I need to water these guys, and I can't get to Harvey anyway because he's not open. What is this? What's this large... Oh, is it like the kale? I bought kale, didn't I? Oh, this would be the flowery grass thing, wouldn't it? Yeah. Was the cat already outside? Did I forget to pat it? Calm down. And if we can finish harvesting all these crops by the end of spring, I can actually sort it out so it's not just like this huge thing. And I can do like, I reckon like plots of... Oh, I guess it depends, because I want the sprinklers. It depends on the size of the sprinklers, right? I'm assuming the first sprinkler's like, it waters 4 crops. And like, it's in the middle. Be nice to have a good watering can, wouldn't it? This would be a lot less tedious. I forgot you can't walk through these guys. Come summer or whenever the next season is, if I get an extra yield crop, I'm gonna make sure to plant it in a line so that there's not this annoying space that I've got to walk around the whole thing just to water one plant. Oh, you were done. Sick. I don't think I need a cauliflower for anything. No. Let's grab you. Alright, and I have enough space to actually hold my resources, my tools on me at all times, and not having to put them in to be able to survive the caves. Alright, now I'm pretty sure Harvey lives above his doctor's office, right? I reckon I won't make enough money to get a coop by next season. Ew. Can I just give you the amethyst? To get around, how do I get around? Oh, wait, I can go around? I can get in? Sick. This seems illegal. $300 is not bad. Nothing on the bulletin board. Should I buy a bunch of crops? It is Farmer Epic. Hey, Abigail. Yes, I'm taking a break from work. So these take 6, these take 4. Should I just do like 10 parsnip seeds just before the season ends? Just doing it. Because I won't have enough money to actually... You don't even have a name for me? I'm just Hey Farmer? Okay. Just because I won't make that much money off mines? Right? Like I might... at some point. But at the moment I won't. Because I don't really know what I'm doing. Oops. Fucked that up again. How do I keep doing that? Alright. I'm assuming at some point I can unhoe this land. Like put grass down, I guess? Really right energy, huh? Right, geode breaking time. I think it's 4 PM that the thing stops, so I hope I have enough time. And I'm also bringing a topaz to Gunther. Burbs. Oh, there actually is a dog in there. Interesting. You just don't ever see him. There must be more lore to that, but I don't want to bother dealing with it. I'm assuming it's... whose dog is it? Topaz. Just put it there. I'll organize it later. I think I can. I hope I can. I'll read about it. It's a topaz. It's a mineral in the earth, is what it's going to say. Process the geodes. Do that one, because it's cool looking. What is that? Barry's Ite. Come on, give me something cool. What, dirt? Dirt. I got dirt. Got dirt twice. I got an iron ingot, is what that is. Haven't seen that before. Jamboreeite? No, I have seen it before, haven't I? Petrified slime. Interesting. I'm not going to give him any of this. I don't know what I need any of the dirt for. Ooh, I can give you some of the dirt too. I am interested in the slime jelly. Summer, okay. We'll hold on to those. So I don't really care about any of these. I'm assuming that's, yeah, fairly common, still priced for its beauty. Fine grain rock, yeah, but the slime though. 100,000-year-old slime. It's pretty sick. Don't care about that. That's just like, oh, crystals exist. It's cool and everything, but it's no petrified slime, is it? Alright. What do I do with my leftover time? I don't really have any energy. I'll just eat the rest of these carrots and... Oh. Is this from getting the slime? Ooh, it smells. Why is it locked? I want to explore the sewers. I think Gunther has the key. Professor Gunther? The man who runs the museum? Why do you think he has it? I saw a big rusty old key fall out of his pocket one time. A creepy sewer door like this has got to be a match for a big rusty old key. There's something moving around in there. There is something moving around in there. Alright, sick. Is Leah in here? No. This is a secret special cabin that no one is allowed to enter. Whoops. This is cute. Oh, you're looking for Aunt Marnie? I guess so. I was just kind of breaking and entering. Stop hitting things! I've already talked to you, that's why it didn't work. Why is there like a 6-pack of just the ring though? Because Shane's a drunk. Are they like footstep alcohol? Is that what that is? No, it's not a sign. It looked like a sign. It looked like a Minecraft sign there. Alright, I don't have a fishing rod on me. Can I fish in the lake in my house? Should that be what I waste my time on? Oh, okay. I'm just gonna sell that then. I didn't realize I didn't. I'll keep it just because I don't know what you need and what you don't. I have coal. Our first iron ingot, let's go. I still don't know the topaz or not. I don't know what I need. I'm gonna put that back. We'll just leave on that. And now what I'm gonna do is that. Yeah. And we'll put that clay away. I like that. Did I just get set on fire? What happened there? Okay. And then I guess, yeah, let's just fish till midnight. No. That's because I fucked up. Eat the carrot. I missed again. I keep like Minecraft reflexing with the fishing in this. Hey baby, how you doing? Every time I hear that like little flick, I'm like, oh, it's a fish. That's not how this works. Can you fish in this? You can fish useless stuff. Do I want to fish useless stuff? I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like you can only fish useless stuff. Sell that. I do like the speed of it. Maybe I would like to get more. Have I not done that one? Huh. We just need the gold and then we're done with that. I don't know, should I try and clear some stuff? Well, the cat's asleep and I need energy. And I don't want to waste all of it in case I need to go mining. Zero for selling the broken glass. The broken glasses are actually useful. Useless, rather. It's raining again? At least I don't have to water anything. Dear Epic, tomorrow we're all getting together the flower dance. If you can find a partner, you might even want to participate in the dance yourself. There's a little clearing beyond the forest west of town where we will hold the dance between 9 and 2 if you're not interested. If you're interested. I don't think I would get a choice, right? Like I have to go to town. What is that sound? No gold parsnips. Unlucky. Ooh, golden carrots give me a fair bit of energy. I might just sell the other carrots. That's not worth it. It's kind of worth it. Now I'll sell it just because I don't want too much inventory clogging. Okay. It literally says that's trash, so I'll trash it. Let's put the sap in here. It is my first time playing Stardew, yes. I have like technically watched someone play it on YouTube before, but I don't really remember how anything works. And I don't know if I watched past like halfway through the first year. Oh, a gold one. Where's Linus? I don't know anything about any of the characters, and they pissed me off at the start of the first like week, and I just kind of haven't been talking to any of them. I did see a frog. Sebastian was right. Can I go into his tent? Because otherwise I just wouldn't be able to find him when it's raining, which is, I guess, fine. Yes, but also give you a flower. Linus is the only person I know that likes anything. Because I have not tried with anyone else because I don't care. I'm either at the mine or in my farm, and Is there anything else I want to do today? I don't think so. Let's just go back to the mine. Oh. I don't know what I was expecting. So I just realized that I don't need a pickaxe over there. Do you reckon these crystals just crack? Do they drop anything? I'm gonna say no. Oh, you don't even need to mine them. Okay, cool. Good to know. These guys are strong. I'm getting to the point where I probably need some kind of armor and like actual healing items instead of just stuff to give me energy. No one's dropping anything cool though, which is annoying. Just kind of one of these crystals give me the tunnel. But that's fine. We'll just slowly dig our way through. I should have probably made some bombs. Oh. Ooh. Whoops. Oh, it's an iron thing. Cool. Good to know. That sounds like fighting. Did that sound like fighting to anyone else? Like perhaps a ghost? That's definitely fighting. Ooh, is it? Straight up soot sprites? How do I... Requires stones. Do I... Like, do I craft stones? Or are stones different? That says stone. How do I... How do I load it? You know what I mean? Because I got it yesterday, so I should have got a crafting recipe. If I'm not stupid. Oops. I might die here. These shit sprites are... really ganging up on me. Ooh, a winter root. I don't think I'm anywhere near winter yet, but... Should I just go? No, I want everything that's in that barrel. Is why I don't want to go yet. I also really need to eat. Another bat that's after me. That frozen geode's gonna give me that crystal thing I need, right? Yeah. Alright, I need what? I need that blue thing. Ooh, they are fully soot sprites. Like, that's exactly what they are. I was just joking. Is not. Because I ate this. Aquamarine. Believe that's my birth gemstone. Alright. Just one more guy to go. I still don't know if these crystals do like drop anything, and I should be whacking them because they're like easy to hit. So like if they can potentially drop something, I should make them. Feels like I want to hit it because it looks like it's just full of coal. Came from there. Is there anything up here? No. It is not. Ooh, Interroot needs to go somewhere. The bug meat probably is fine to eat. Yeah. I don't like necessarily need quartz, I just... This is a pretty bad area. You can get anything. Did it lose me? What happened there? Don't hit me. Why is it hitting? Like, is it because I'm like diagonal that way? Yeah, it's much better. Can I make... I do have the red ingredients. No, I won't. See, stones drop iron ore now. Why would I stop mining? This is taking ages. I regret my choice. Actually, you know what? I'll get rid of the sap. I thought it said I needed that in the thing and I was very worried. I think I have enough stuff to do stuff. Where's you there? Nothing? Am I missing something? Did I go? I went down here, right? I didn't go down here? No, maybe I did. Oops. Why are we just mining? Can you not? No, I think you can get ladders out of explosions, right? Am I stupid? It's not luck based because there's like so many ladders have spawned. It must be like random, right? Like if a ladder will spawn when you break a rock. Right in the middle. Ding. May as well try and loot here. I won't go further down. Yeah, look at all those chests. You probably have enough bat wings to do the community center too. I think we have 4 back home, so we don't. Maybe I will go down one more. I just realized that I can't because I actually need to find the ladder. What's that? Jade. Is that just a mineral? Just a mineral, okay. What are you then? Are you that other guy? Yeah, I think I need you for something. That snow's definitely got, like, snow worms in it, right? I'm eating it. Look at all that energy we just got. Don't even consider it. We definitely have enough now for the community center Batwing situation. I definitely need to get going. So if I don't find a ladder here... Yeah, I think we need to go. Good, Gia, last thing. I don't need this app, it's fine. Alright, sick. We can do some more geodes tomorrow. Should I attempt to throw some stuff in the community center? I reckon I have time. Surely. That's fish. I doubt anything goes in there. I don't know. I think it's shining because I can do some stuff on it, right? I've got to do the whole lot. I remember that. I knew the tier had to go here. Don't have anything for that. What else have we got? That. Other the veggies. Veggies. I'm assuming that's down there. It could be up there. Might be up there. It wasn't up there. It must be down here. Yes. Okay. And then we've got geodes and stuff. I'll check it after we get back, if we get back. Get some light. It's 2 o'clock, right? Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. Why were you so worried? Easy. Iron fence. Water can, hoe, preserves jar. We can now make jam, I'm assuming. Retaining soil. We sold so many carrots. We can now own a chicken pen, I think. I'm gonna guess that we also now have all that cauliflower, or some of it. Oh, we've got another bean. Keep the cauliflower for food in case we go to the... Why is only one of those harvestable? I'm pretty sure I planted all of them at the same time. Or is it random because of the speed grow? It like potentially increases your thing? I don't know. Okay, time to get a coop. Oh wait, is it the festival today? I hope not. I don't want to dance with no one. That sucks. I still have no idea if I want to romance any of the characters. I feel like the only one... There's only... I think Linus you can't romance, right? You can just be friends with. And like the only other person that doesn't seem like an asshole is other married people or... like Abigail, but she hasn't said anything. So she's probably a secret asshole, knowing this town. I mean, as far as I remember from what I've seen of other people play this, the characters aren't assholes. They just came off as assholes when they first met me. It is the flower dance. I have stuff to sell though. Like the geodes. I don't want to do this. In the forest? Oh, so I don't have to come? Oh, hell yeah. I don't want a flower dance. Oh, but everyone's gonna be there. I can't sell any. Like, I can't... I don't know. I'm putting these bat wings in. I'm gonna try and crush some geodes, and then if there's time left, we'll go over there. Oh, you only need 2? Oh. But there's like... Was it the bat wings then? Why 10 bat wings and... everything else is super hard to get? Okay, I'm assuming everyone's... Oh! Sorry in advance if I say anything rude. I didn't get much sleep last night, okay? What do you want? To give you... a bat wing. You seem like someone who would enjoy it. Maybe not. Cauliflower? No, you don't like cauliflower. Cauliflower? Eat it, it's food. Okay. I'm assuming everything's locked for... Oh. How dare you do this to me again, Alex? I was ready to catch, and you've pissed me off. Gunther. I can't do anything, can I? There are so many people here, though. Why is there so many people outside if everything's locked? And also, is that the forest? Or is that the forest? Forest? How get? I feel like that's forest. This is beach. Left is forest, I mean. I need to figure out where Gunther's key is. I'm assuming I unlock it for giving them a lot of minerals. But who knows? Probably everyone who's played Stardew Valley. Oh, I'm here. I don't even like the music. What are you selling? Tub of flowers recipe. Is that like super expensive, do you reckon? Probably. To like make. A rare crow. What makes it rare? 5 of 8. If I do another playthrough, maybe. How you doing? All my best shot for the dance. This sort of thing doesn't happen very often. Hi Epic, glad to see you here. Thanks, Leah. I don't think I've seen you since like the first day. I should have brought my fishing pole. I agree. I did, but it's not letting me use it, so it's okay, Willie. You wouldn't have been able to use it anyway. Frog season is really starting to pick up. It's a good thing we're standing by the water then, huh? This is the life. Sweet wine, a babbling brook, warm air. Did I say wife? Sweet wine, did I mention wine? You know what, I admit it. I really like, good on you, Sam. Flowers are sick sometimes. Ugh. Do you want to dance with me, Sebastian? I really hate dancing in front of everyone. It's so embarrassing. Think about how I feel. I have never even done this dance before. I don't think I get to dance if I don't find anyone. Is that correct? Excellent sauce. Okay. These springtime dances can be traced back to ancient fertility rituals. So we fucking is what you're saying. Demetrius. I was gonna say Dominic. Ah, the air smells so sweet with all these flowers. There's not that many flowers. I wish Pierre would spend his... I agree. Pierre has just been at his stall selling shit every single festival so far. I feel like every time I talk to Jody, she's silently judging me. Emily might dance with you, but only if you give me, crush 10 geodes for me. Could you do that? Don't like the flower dance? To a penny? Oh. I think I like Penny. I don't think she'll say yes if I don't have any romance. Ooh. How do I get them together? Is the scenery Haley? Not yet. I want to see if Penny will reject me first. Yeah. Okay, now we can start. Wait, can I ask Linus to reject me? No, Linus won't show up, right? Because you can't be... Yeah. Oh, he is here. Can you dance with me? Okay, we'll start the dance. I've decided on Penny. We'll romance Penny. They've got some moves. I'll give them that. That was pretty fun and not a waste of my day. I'm so glad that happened. I can now sell everything. I'll keep the slime because we need 99 of those if we can't find the other stuff. Keep the cauliflower. I will plant these guys, I guess. Why not? It's the Geo. What's that? Oh, Gunther. We were going to donate it to Gunther, and we didn't because of a stupid festival. And we were also going to make some more iron. But we didn't because I forgot, mostly. Alright, cat, let's go to sleep. Do-do-do-do. 15,000 G all up. I don't know if the mixed seeds like will turn into something. The bookseller is in town. Alright. Let's go. I want the copper bars. I want to put the coal back. No. 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 Oh, I forgot it. I completely forgot about the kale and needing to scythe it. That's not kale. Oh. I remember planting the rice now. Okay, we've got another gold parsnip. So there's that. I don't think we need any potatoes. Ooh, but hang on, I'll keep the strawberries. I'm assuming we can't preserve potatoes. So I won't keep them. Gold star rice. We don't need it, but I'll keep it in case I need to mill it and get cool stuff out of it. We'll sell the non-cool stuff. I don't know if you make good stuff out of good product or if it like resets it and it's actually bad to do it out of good stuff. Who knows? Again, the Stardew Valley players who played since day one. Ooh, that's the kale. That's so not what kale looks like. I almost feel like I should have bought more parsnips, to be honest. To finish the season off. Because there's like, what, 12 left? Yeah. That wasn't watered, okay. I wonder... Alright, we'll get at least one more beans out of the bean pods. So there's still those to go. I reckon we made a lot of money today. Also. Okay, doesn't need to go anywhere. Do not eat the kale. Okay, we'll grab that. Grab that. Just because I don't know how much copper bars we actually need. I feel like you need copper for that back. I don't need it yet. I feel like you need copper for the first sprinkler system. Wait, you can make it in your hand, right? Yeah, copper and iron. Okay. I'll make one. That's what I need copper for. The sprinkler. Oh, if you leave it for too long, it... Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna put it here. I want a farm to be here. Because I want to clear that and we'll do some stuff. I reckon I want like a farm plot like around here. All right. I fed the cat. I need to pet the cat. Thank you. And then we go to Gunther, and then we go to Clint, and then we go to Penny to see if we can lock in a dance for next year. No, sorry, fuck Penny. We need to get a coop first. Penny can go tomorrow. We'll talk to Penny tomorrow, unless we walk past her right now. No, I don't care about giving you seaweed for 60G. You know, May, you could have been a farmer instead of like a gardener. Because like you're clearly gardening food plants. Alright, I'm donating some more stuff. You have that. You have that. Ooh, I like it. Not at the moment. Is there... Oh, because I can find books and put them there, can't I? Can't I? I think I can. Are these anything? A gem, a stone. Okay. I don't know where I find this key. I have doubts that it's like from a reward though. I must have to do something. Is it in your bin? I got a geode out of it. I wasn't expecting to be able to find that. I didn't mean to do that. I want you to upgrade. Oh, but then I can't do the... It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I need that coop. I need more actual stuff. Ooh, I need that for a thing. No, I don't. That's not what I need for the thing. For some reason I thought it was something I needed for... Ooh, a dildo. Fluorapatite? You're new. Berry stone. Alright. Gunther, tell me about these things. And then give me a key? Ooh. Is this a tree? Small amounts are found in human teeth. That's insane. These crystals are light. Is that real, or they made that up? An old miner's song suggests these are made from the bones of ancient fairies. Who made that up? Who was like, yep, this rock's clearly made out of fairy bones. Alright. So we need to hang up that decoration. We need to sell that mineral thing. We need to get that chicken coop set up. What's going on? Believe is 5,000 G. So we have no money left after that. And then we have to save up for... What is it, like 1,000... 2,000... This is like 8 things? So like... What's that talking about? Go up here. Is that like hot air balloon thing here? Is that what that's about? It must be. Welcome. I would like you to make a... Oh, I need the wood. I think I have 300 wood though. Right? I completely forgot that you also need the resources to build it. She doesn't just build it for you like a normal person would. Paying you 5,000 gold. To be fair, 5,000 gold is very low. Well, no, sorry. 5,000 gold is very high. But I'm assuming gold is whatever coins they're using in this universe, and maybe it doesn't translate to dollars. Or if anything, it looks like it's more expensive. Just check I don't have 300 on me. I don't. Dang it. Can I make... There. 8 coal. I can do that. Leave it there for now. I can get rid of all these, so that should be fine. We will... grab more stone, because I just realized that I need more stone. We'll sell the fluoro, we'll put that away. I guess we'll put the geode in here for now. Sell that. Put these away because we're never going to be able to afford them. Oh, and we'll grab like a normal strawberry and see how that turns out. And then... back. We'll just spend the rest of the day grinding out that axe to try and afford a coop, because I want animals, because they're basically a constant source of money. If I'm not mistaken, I might be. But I'm assuming the chickens at least lay eggs fairly often. And it means I won't have to worry about like planting anything. I guess I have to feed them and stuff, so it's not like it's not like I'm doing nothing. $300 wood. That's insane. I guess, I'm gonna say I guess I'm pretty close to that. I'm not as close as I really thought I was though. Alright, time to eat a single cauliflower. That works. Hunger for cost though? Not sure. If we destroy this, we might get a pine cone out of it and I can make a field snack and then... Yes. We're nearly there. I wonder why I have new ideas to sleep on. Like, is that from when I'm gonna die? And I got no food, nothing? Huh. Ooh, I'm like, yeah. No, I'm good. Ooh. And it must be flat rate off of the grass. Because when you're running fast, it doesn't seem like you lose that much speed, but when you've got no speed, it must just go from not much to nothing at all. And how long it takes to preserve these things? Alright. I guess time to sleep. Here we go, yeah, so foraging, wild berry harvesting, axe proficiency, we got the tapper. I can craft wild seeds for summer. Tapper is nice because that gives me maple syrup. Can you get, does it have to be a maple tree? Can you get like other syrups? Oh, I have enough for miso hats. Okay, Poke, come to old house, Poke. Bring coins, hat mouse. Is that the house down below? Dear Epic, it's been so long since I heard from you, dear. Things are the same as ever back home. I miss you very much. Love, Mum. P.S. Found an envelope with some money Grandpa left for you. Sick. Free money? Alright. Take that. Let's make some field snacks. Yep. And we'll put this guy back, put this guy back, put this guy back. It's not summer yet. Double checking there's nothing in here that I need to do anything with. No, grass go back. Okay. Now I just unlocked this. We need 2 copper bars. I'm gonna make 4 of these. And can I put them on any tree? Eh. Oh, it goes in front of a tree. Does it just go wherever it wants? Because that's a maple tree, right? Ha! But it doesn't work here? It does work here. I've got no idea if this is what I'm supposed to do, but it's done. Okay. You get Pat. No, not eat parsnip. Why at any point would I be eat parsnip? Sick, we have another gold parsnip. Don't panic. Oh. Oh yeah, I planted all these at the same time, let's go. Oh, no farming done today. And we still have like 4 days of spring. I'm glad I planned this out really well and didn't waste my time. Have I been neglecting those plants to the above the strawberries, do you think? Alright, parsnip goes in here. Bam. And the rest gets sold. Don't need Gale. No. Bam, 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 bam. Ooh. No, come back. Bam. And now we need 300 wood. We used up a fair bit for tapping, but that's okay. Because now we're getting maple syrup, maybe? From trees that aren't maple trees? Pine syrup. Is pine syrup a thing? Probably not. We have plenty of field snacks though, so I'm not worried about running out of energy anymore. And cauliflowers as well. I need 300 wood, then we run off to Robin to get our coop. And then I'm assuming we gotta buy... No, I know we gotta buy chickens from Marnie. I just don't know how much chickens... Oh, I know it's not strong enough. I'm gonna recover axe because I'm holding up on my money to get chickens. I'm assuming we buy chickens from Marnie. I feel like it's like 5 chickens, I want to say, to a coop. I'm assuming axe proficiency means I use less energy when I'm chopping. Because I feel like I'm doing the same amount of cuts, but my energy's like nowhere near down. That's 300. Who needs more? Not me. Robin's up anyway, so let's just go up here. Ooh. A lot of things here. A lot of things here. Eh. Alright, Robin, it's time. Give me a coop. I guess I'll like connect it to the house, yeah? Easy to get to. Do I need to wait for the coop to be built before I can buy chickens? Probably. And I have enough money. Let's get back home. I want to get that watering can. Or do I want a watering can upgrade, or do I want the axe upgrade so I can get rid of the I think I want the hardwood because that's the only thing I need left for that one community thing, and I might get something cool out of it. So I'll do the axe first. And hopefully chickens aren't super expensive and I can afford to... Oh, I want to sell all this stuff. I'll leave that because that, and I'll put the seeds back because I can make stuff out of them if I need to. So that goes back. Okay. I got 5. Yes. All right. Just do the axe because I can only afford the axe. And then I'm assuming I can get hardwood once I do that. I'm assuming that's what the big logs are that it says I can't do it to. And that means I could finish off the community center thing. I don't know, does it tell me what gift I get for finishing? Do you reckon it's crafts? No. It's blacks? No. None of those. Must be crafts then? Foraging. Construction. Does not tell me what I get from that. The reward for finishing all of them is bridge repair though, and I don't really know what that means. Penny, penny, penny. Dig in the dirt. Do you want a cauliflower? Penny loves cauliflower! Penny does not care that much about cauliflower. Penny? Fuck. Alright. Tools. Axe. As soon as I can. What? Wait. You won't even tell me when it's... I can't use my axe anymore? Okay. What do I do? Do I just buy a bunch of summer stuff? Do I go down here? Abigail? No. Okay. To the... Oh, you like a... No? Who are you? Who's we? Like the town? It is Friday. Good on ya. Anything in here? Nah. Who are you? Season of pastels. I prefer jewel tones. What's it? Something about fashion again, wasn't I? What's a jewel tone? Hey, how are you, Danny? Danny? Yeah. No. Yeah? I'm gonna say Danny. I might be adding a space in not the right spot. Okay. Do we have summer seeds or does he change the stock? He must change the stock. I don't see any summer. I should save up for some fruit. Your brother's idea, I see. Ooh, dehydrator might be useful. Dehydrator or the preserve? The preserve thing's cheaper, so I guess the preserve thing is where you want to go. I'm gonna fish for the rest of the day because I'm not sure what I'm doing. And fishing means I get money. Penny. I found a really old piece of pottery. I brought it to Gunther and he said it was over 1,000 years old. That's sick. Penny, you're so cool. Fishing. Where are you from? I am from Australia. I don't know why I said it like that. I stream twice a week, usually. Daily's just too much. I've never seen him in the town. But here he is with his fishing buddy. Dread Fall Guys? I played Fall Guys a fair bit actually. When it first came out. Ooh, I don't mind that. What's that? Rice seeds? Nice. Rice is spring though, isn't it? So I'm gonna have to wait till next year. Yeah. It's fun. It's alright. There's... I feel like they didn't add enough for it to keep being exciting. And there's a bunch of other games that kind of just are that game now. I do love the concept of like kind of Wipeout style, like just parkour games and stuff. There's not enough of those. I love playing Hot Lava. That was a fun game to play. And its whole concept is just your kids in a playground pretending the floor is lava and you've got to parkour across the thing. And I love that. That it's just, the whole game is just imagination. Is everyone going to the bar? Is that what I'm saying? Is it bar? Is it beer o'clock? Is that what these guys are doing? I feel like I probably need to get a better rod, huh? I always say I'm bad at Flappy Bird. I'm very bad at Flappy Bird. Got him. Just a geode? Alright. Where's this saloon? Can I talk to some lads? My guys! Willie, handling salty fish all day makes me real thirsty. Fair enough. Determined to keep my shop running till the bitter end. Morris and his cronies will have to drag me out from behind the counter kicking and screaming. And they will. Well, that doesn't really matter to me. I typically stay in my shop year round. I've noticed. Robin is busy. Demetrius is busy. It's 8:50, Shane. PM. Chill. That sucks, Sam. Sebastian. Shall I let Sam win for once? You probably should. Sometimes I totally lose track. I know, you just told me it was Friday this morning because you were so excited that you realized it was Friday. Have I played this one? Skull-shaped keyhole. Do I need a skull-shaped key? How am I getting that? What's that? Why can't I click that? What does that mean? Money. Good evening, it's nice to see you socializing with the townsfolk. It's good to stop by once in a while and see what the latest news is. No one has told me news. Abigail told me it was Friday. It's up here. Don't need to know that. Alex told me he's bad at billiards, pool, fresh air of this valley. Why is billiards the first word that came to my mind? Fresh air of this valley is good for body and mind. Sick. It's similar to be friends with the trees. They don't have much to say. Can I get like... I don't really... Oi, Gus, give me another pint of your strongest. So she's drinking beer. She's not a whiskey drinker like I thought. Business has been really good tonight. I'm pleased. I feel like that maybe is a bad thing if business is really good in the Stardew Valley, because it means that everyone's probably drinking to forget that Jojo Mart's taken over. Did I already talk to you? I don't remember that. I like that when you push into people, they vibrate uncontrollably. Oh, there's still people to talk to. No, I've already said that to you. Usually words disappear. Alright. Do they just drink until 2 PM? No, someone's left. I kind of want to wait till 12 and see what... Oh no, everyone leaves at 11. Okay. Except for the drinkers. Like, the old guys. And Pam. Have the teenagers left yet? They're not teenagers. They're young adults, I guess, is probably a more accurate term. I'm assuming. They all act like... I guess maybe they act like college kids or something, maybe. Stuck in a small town. That makes sense. Should I go see the Hat Man? Hey, Remy? How you doing? Sell that, sell that, sell that. Hold on to the rice shoots. Sleep. Good night, Joe. Level 5 farming, I can choose a profession. I didn't know this was a thing. Animal products are worth more, 20% more. Crops are worth... So, animal products are already, I assume, worth more. And I'm just about to get chicken. I'm gonna do that. It'll pay off... Oh my god, that's so much kale money. If only cows weren't 10,000. I can get the pickaxe now, though. No, I can't get the pickaxe now. I can't get the pickaxe now. I just realized that I can't get the pickaxe now because he's busy doing the pickaxe. Don't eat the green bean. Alright, I guess if I can't do anything else... I'm just gonna sell the Jamboree and the Topaz. Is there anything I need to pay for? There's nothing... Oh, maybe I could just get another backpack upgrade before we go. I'll get another backpack upgrade before we go to... If they have another backpack upgrade? I didn't really check. I don't have Aquamarine. I would really love to accept that quest. Oh. It's a lot of money. If All right, let's go back. Let's go to the mine now, early, then come back. If, I need to give Penny her cauliflower as well. Where am I? Way off course. For some reason I thought I could get to there from here, but I can't. I need to give Penny her cauliflower because she loves them. They're her favorites. She said so. And so we'll go into the town and do that. And also hopefully get an aquamarine and finish this quest off. Yeah, I said how are you, Rumi, right? I didn't say that in my head. You dropped nothing. So soot sprites are going to be useful because they hold on to items. Actually, it looks like they break rocks. Is that what they're doing? Yeah. I think that's what they're doing. This one's actually lost his rock, so we'll just put him out of his misery. Oh, have we already done, like, have we gotten the chests here so that doesn't show up anymore? That's interesting. What's an angry slime? That's a lot of bats. Why are the soot sprites angry at me? Why? Oh, I gotta stab and shit level up? That's okay. Ooh. Crystal fruit? Excuse me? It's cool and all, but I'm looking for an aquamarine. Surely one of these will drop it, right? Guess not. Don't you dare. I'll probably get an aquamarine out of the geodes, right? I'm sure. Because I think it was a random thing I got. I don't think it was like from a specific stone. I'm not gonna see Penny or... What else was I doing? Oh, someone wasn't open. Oh, the backpack. I was gonna get a backpack upgrade. Are they and viable recovery something, something, something? Okay, I can add you to block list on stream chat, but I'm assuming it still stays in the chat, unfortunately. Ooh, that's a lot of copper. I'm okay with it. Ooh, that was quick. Can I... if I... have a plan? Oh, you need like a lot of copper. Okay. Aquamarine. What is that? Level 3 club. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, definitely don't think they drop anything. 21 damage? 2 hits? Don't know if I have space for amethyst. I don't know what I'm going to get rid of if I don't. Didn't I? Oh, I haven't done it to the museum, have I? Alright, let's eat the field snack. And then I guess we mine these guys. Ooh, perfect. A shoe. We don't need those. I don't think I need that either, but like it'd be fun to keep it, probably. That'll... yeah, it doesn't help me. Let's leave the mine. It's too late to do anything I wanted to do, except maybe find Penny and give her a cauliflower. I actually don't remember what else I needed to do, now that I think about it. What do you guys remember what I said? I feel like I had 3 things to do. There was that. Oh, I wanted the aquamarine for Gunther for the mission, but I didn't find it. So, I mean, we have plenty of time. I just... don't know. You know? I may as well pop the geodes while I'm here. How do I get down this way? Jojo. Oh, I don't need it, but interesting. Dang it. 4 PM. Does Gunther stay open longer? No. So everything is useless. I'll just sell the club. I could have sold it over there, but I didn't. I'll sell the club in the chest. And I'll keep my cauliflower. Can't avoid meeting everyone. What it's like to live in the city. Joja. Apparently. You guys, are you smoking? Just remember that I was meaning to do something, but I forgot. Why are you swinging instead of talking? What? I didn't hear you. Busy thinking about it. Why are you both thinking about you? You've been smooching? You've been smooching, you guys? I can't remember anything. I don't know. Something suspicious with you two. Ooh. Oh, slime crystal fruit? Winter? It said winter, right? Fall, exotic, summer, winter, crystal. Alright, let's put that in. We'll go back and make sure that I've done everything that we can with our crops. Ah. Whoops. Up here, this is the one. It's not that one, is it? It's the other one. Nice. Just need the 10 hardwood, which I have to assume we get from that thing, right? That summer is all just around the corner. We've got artisan bundle. We have all those fall crops with animal stuff for the pantry stuff, which I'm assuming should be the easier thing. It's kind of just like one of stuff that you're gonna be doing anyway. I keep forgetting to like check on the fish too. Like we just sold all that fish. I didn't check a single one for like if there was anything we needed to put in there. And so we just need gold for that, which we can buy if we need to finish the blacksmith's bundle. Which like maybe it's worth just buying. I reckon that last geologist thing we need is probably level 50, right? That would be my guess. It was 20 to finish the first level, I guess. So maybe not. Can I like decline this? No. I'm assuming it just declines itself after the time limit it's supposed to have is finished. So we'll sell the crystal fruit, I guess. Can I make crystal fruit jam? It's a fruit. I'll hold on to it just in case I can, because I mean it'd be interesting. We'll hold on to the geodes. The tundra boots. I think they're worse. 1 defense, 1 immunity. 2 defense, 1 immunity. Okay, never mind. They're better. Do I just sell? I think I just sell both of those, don't I? I think that's what I do. Same with the bat wings. Maybe I'll need the bat wings for something, but not right now. Sell the quartz. We will keep the amethyst. No, we'll sell the amethyst. I'm assuming they're for trading to different people. We need to get Gunther to appraise that. We need to break those geodes. And we need that iron. Whoops. I'm gonna... You are working real late into the night. Actually, I'm sorry for yelling at you about taking 3 days to build this, because, like, you are working. Can I talk to you? Are you, like, stuck here? I can't, like, be your friend until you're done, because that's crazy. Alright, and I did water these. I can't really see. I'm gonna... It looks like I didn't water them. Is that what I'm seeing? totally didn't water the crops. I don't know how I missed that. I feel like these are the last crops we've got for spring and that's summertime. I don't know if I'm allowed to plant crops before summer and they'll grow in summer. Because it'd be nice to just like set up the plot now. We got roots platter. And extra HP. Okay, interesting. We got mining, pickaxe proficiency, we got transmute. Sorry, I now have the ability to transmute materials? What's going on? And a glowstone ring. We're going full Skyrim. I got 1,000 gold? I actually need to like weed? What do you mean cause damage to my farm? Ooh. Strawberry jelly. That's not jam. Can I put it back in? No. I wasn't sure. I thought there was something about like... Oh, wait. Yeah. Jelly. So we'll hold on to that. Can crystal fruit jelly be a thing? Oh yeah, it can. That's cool. Okay. I forgot to sell my boots, my boot bone. I can't sell my boot bone. I gotta sell them to the Adventurers Guild, I think. Okay, I guess we'll take the gem up to the thing. Do the geodes. Am I missing something? Cat's staying inside because it's raining. Fair enough. Let's quickly, because it's too early anyway. Let's get rid of the weeds, because apparently it's dealing damage to my farm. I don't really know what that means. That's not actual weeds. Because you do need some for, like, the animals to eat, right? Why am I getting wood? Oh, is that just in the thing? That must have just been in the thing. Just woke up this playing, it's one of the best sleeps so far, thank you. Nice. Hell yeah. That's kind of what I go for my night streams. Try not to yell very much. You know, just relaxing vibes. Oh my, I don't have an axe because Gunther's has it and has had it for way too long. I wonder if he sends like a letter to tell me it's done or if I have to go to him. Coal. Was not expecting coal. I really didn't think weeding was an issue until it yelled at me. And now I've got too many weeds. I need to get to Gunther before the day ends. Alright, let's stop the weeding and hopefully that's fine. I'm assuming it's based on the number of plants, not the... It's not like actually a plant that's hitting something wrong. So, should I try and sell that shoe as well? I'll try and sell that shoe as well. So we'll go to Gunther and then we'll go up to the Adventurers Guild to sell the rest of the stuff. I think that's my plan with it. Should I have... I was just like, if I have enough... Sorry, if Gunther's finished, it would have been really nice. Don't go to Judge him. Pam, don't. Pam! Then I would have... It would have been nice if I could... Oh, okay, cool. See, it would have been really nice if I knew that was happening and I could upgrade a different tool, but that's fine. Okay, fine. E, that's the button I'm looking for. Yeah, we'll do that. Ooh. Soapstone. Ooh. Opal. Okay, that's all for Gunther. We got Tyr, we got you, we got you. No reward? No reward. Are we sure? Okay. Oh, and I've got to put the jelly in the thing. Is there anything else? Just the jelly. Oh, the slime as well, but that doesn't count because it's going to take ages. Adventurous Museum, that's where I'm going. I should probably check how many things I need to kill as well, because that's... There's so much stuff going on in this game that I don't... Like, I just kind of don't know where to put my energy. Like, I should probably be focusing on one thing. I kind of want to sell the slingshot just because I have no idea how it works. I'm just kind of holding it. I guess I could not hold it. Do I... Should I... Oh, this is -4 speed. Extra defense though. So the club's got higher damage. I don't... Why is it like... Why does it go level 3 to level 5? And then the wood mallet's level 3. Why is the mallet the only thing that goes up in a normal leveling system? You just sell things. How do I know isn't there like a bulletin board? Where's that? I guess not? I guess no bulletin board. Actually, I want to save up for cows. I don't care about... No, I do care about mining, though. I do want to mine the big rocks. This way. Not this way, this way. So I need to drop the jelly off at the community center. Oh, there's more geodes. Did I know there was more geodes, Sebastian? You just remembered my name? Just then, you were like, hey, you have a name. I've been talking to you non-stop for 3 weeks. Accidentally, but I've been doing it. Artisan. Jelly. Oh, you don't have to get all of them. My brain didn't comprehend that there were more things than squares. So hopefully we can make cheese at some point. Okay, that didn't need to go anywhere. I've already done that. And then it was just Gunther that I needed to do, so I can sell that. Which I reckon might get me a bit of money. So maybe mining is the go. Local herring population is like, okay. No. I should have enough time to do a little bit of fishing before I go back and get some hardwood. And then we'll deliver it tomorrow. I do want to try and get some stuff for the fish tank as well. There's something about fishing in the rain. There's something about rain in video games. It's... Oh, I missed it. I'm so bad at Flappy Bird. I'm so bad. Keeping small object in correct space by just clicking to bounce something. Maybe I'm bad at physics? I don't know. Yeah, rain in video games, there's something about it, and it's interesting because of the way streaming works and YouTube works. You don't see it very often. A lot of like Minecraft YouTubers and like people will try and... Is this because I'm clicking too slowly? Will try and skip rainy days in their videos because the rain makes the video look bad. Because there's too many things moving on the screen and it makes it all pixely. Because yeah. Okay, I think that was because I was clicking too slowly. I didn't realize there was like a huge thing with that. Brim, new record. Now, you do need to go to the community center. Okay. Which is like interesting because it means that like rainy days in video games are kind of for the player. Like, you're not going to enjoy them watching them as much as you will just like playing them. I feel like some of the most interesting games happen during like rainy sessions. It probably doesn't matter that much for like Stardew as much as it does for Minecraft situations. Come on. Give me that chest. Give me that chest. Yes. Ooh. Shad. I'm the fisherman. Wonder how many fish I need to get. After we catch whatever's here, I'll check the community center. So I'm assuming river, fish, shad. So I need 4. Wait. Oh, it's a night fish. Brim's a night fish. Interesting. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Okay. I don't know what that was. I'll catch this, I'll attempt to catch this last fish. And then we'll take everything we've got at the moment to the community center so that we start off with less inventory to manage. Okay, just another brim. Okay, we'll probably sell most of that then. Can I really want to get through that. That would change my life if I could do that. Okay, community center, back home. And then tomorrow we... Maybe by... Oh, Jesus. What's the time? 1. How long have I been streaming for? 2.5 hours. Okay. That's fine. Okay, Shadman, go there. Nightfish, go there. Just like quickly click through stuff just in case something's in the wrong spot. No. Okay. Now if I click that. Okay. So we should be able to sell everything else we've got left. And then we have a clean inventory to start with tomorrow. Depending on how much the minerals cost and all that, we might even hit 10,000 and I can buy a cow pen, but... Oh, Jesus. I should have definitely made a coffee or something instead of a hot chocolate, that's for sure. Instead of it, depending on, I think she finishes tomorrow, maybe the next day. And if I only have $10,000, I don't want to... buy something and then just have a chicken pen with no chickens in it left. I guess that's everything. This is the last day of spring. Tomorrow's the last day of spring, I think. Wait, nothing. Okay, definitely not hitting 1,000. Oh, day 1 of summer. Never mind. I thought it was 29. Okay. Ooh, it's done. I thought it might be. Let's go. Okay, we need to buy some chickens. I'm assuming I scythe those. Yes. Sick. Now, quickly. I thought maybe if I watered it, it would water the things. Okay. So I have a lot. Let's just quickly, let's do it like this for now. All right. Summer crops. We've got melon seeds, a starfruit seed. We've got 18 of those. Oh, melons are probably going to be one of those things that are not fun to walk around. Okay, what are you? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, no, sorry. 5, okay. Is that? So I need to go one more down, and that's 6 by 6. Which, if my math is correct, is 36. Which means I'm gonna buy 36 plants of the thing that I want to buy, of whatever that is. Oh, I thought that was like a new thing I could collect, but a chub frenzy? What does that mean? Thank you for summer. What do you cost? 10,000? Absolutely not. Melons 12. Oh, tomatoes 11, but continues to produce. Blueberries take 13 and continue to produce. Surely blueberries are the go. Oh, peppers though. You need to you can't do anything with wheat properly. What is a Spanger flower? I still don't know if flowers are worth it. Corn. Corn? Am I growing corn? Yields more seeds at harvest? That's pretty useful. So let's get 10 of these. Sorry, 12 of these. Let's get 12 of these. And then I'm getting $18 of these. All right, I've done my part. So we'll plant all these. Hopefully I have enough sap to make some more fertilizer. We plant all these. We feed the cat, because I just realized we hadn't fed the cat yet. So corn is important. Oh, shimmy dicks. Let's do this. Let's do it like this. Didn't I buy something else? No, I must have just gone corn. That's alright. I can deal with... Oh no, sunflowers. That's it. And we'll plant more melon seeds whenever we can. Okay, let's see. We have enough sap, surely. Yeah, sprinklers too. Oh, you can turn copper into... Okay. I do feel like I want another sprinkler, but I won't. I do need to get that pickaxe work done. Is it worth? I think it's worth the chickens more than the pickaxe, though. The pickaxe? The pickaxe I can do whenever. I'm pretty certain this just does the 4, but we'll see. Let's try the axe on the hardwood. Is this hardwood? Or is this just normal wood? There's hardwood. 2. I need 10. Not strong enough to break that log? That blocks is that wood's just extra hard. It makes a lot of wood noises, but you don't actually pick up any wood. Wood noises? You see a lot of wood come out of it, but you don't actually pick up any wood. You just pick up the hardwood. I don't know what we need hardwood for. I don't know if it's just for clearing the area or if it's an actual thing we need. I can go down. Oh. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot to feed you. What's that? Do you reckon I have any maple syrup from last time? Absolutely not. Of course not. A lot of butterflies going around. Barney, I hope it's not too late. I need some chickens. Do you sell chickens? Do you sell chickens? Oh, I didn't even know I could do that. Robin doesn't sell chickens, right? Alright, I guess we'll go to the pickaxe. Must have been late. Unless Robin does sell... Maybe Robin sells chickens after you buy the coop. Whoa, what? There's like a summer stand situation? Oh, hell yeah. I won't buy it, but like, it's good to know. Gunther, I need a pickaxe. Gunther, process my geodes. Ooh. Cat gem? Is that what that is? I'm pretty sure Gunther takes this. Am I right? Have I already given you Neko White? I must have. Okay. Community center reward. And then we have a little bit of time left. Is that a... No. I thought maybe... I've been seeing them around. I wasn't sure if I could take them. What's happening there? Is someone getting hanged? What's... No. Penny's just standing there ready for a cauliflower gift. That is Penny, isn't it? Yeah, it is Penny. For a cauliflower. I like the idea that she hates, like she doesn't eat cauliflower, for sure. But she was just nice to you that one time about you having a cauliflower, and now you just got to keep giving her cauliflower. What'd I get? Ooh, I've already got one of those, unfortunately, but sick. Summer foraging bundle. Ooh. Oh, the room up top right. What's the room up top right look like? Ooh, the bulletin board, actually. Okay, I didn't genuinely... Oops. Looks like this is where we do charcoal now, because I don't have a pickaxe. God dang it. Okay, a chef bundle. So cooking. A dye bundle. Related to her somehow, because she's fashion, but I don't know how to dye things. We got a chub. And a frozen geode. We haven't seen those two though. Just magical stuff, I guess. Fodder, wheat, hay, and apple. For Marnie. Again, Marnie is the person you go to get animals. How do I get animals from her? 9 to 4 most day. Maybe she knocked off early? Is that like a... Like, you know how Skyrim has like random start and stops? Maybe it's like that. I say random. I think Skyrim is less that it has random start and stops, but like events happen to the characters in between randomly based on people's movement, and that's why they get stuck. Do I need more copper? I mean, I guess it's the only thing I can make right now, so I may as well make it. Oops. Oh, you can take the fertilizer back too. And can I craft... I can't craft the retaining soil, which is probably useful, but... Oh, I forgot about the staircase. If you just collect a bunch of stones, you can just get out of the whole thing. Okay, I don't think there's a bee house. Place outside and wait for honey. You just place it outside. I need maple syrup first. I don't know how to... I guess let's just weed. I want to leave that there. I just don't know how tree work. How weeds work. I feel like you need the chickens to graze. And so I don't want to get rid of the ability for them to graze. I'm assuming you use hardwood for something super important, but I don't know. It could just be... Nah, I mean, it's hardwood. In real life, you use it for something important. Ooh, mixed seeds. Ooh, mixed seeds. Mixed flower seeds. Maybe I should start a flower garden as well, because there's different flowers for each season. But I haven't been buying them because I just wanted like food crops because I like mining as well. Oh, I still need to see the Hat Man too. There's so many seeds coming out of this. And frogs. Surely it's got to stop complaining about the weeds now. Ooh, a firefly. I choose to believe that the firefly came out because it cleaned up. Alright. So is this the time we get into exponential growth? We've got the ability to start making sprinklers and like setting them up properly. Sleepy guy. Alright. I feel like I can make hay, and I don't want it to make it. I don't know. Okay, let's. What was that? Keep forgetting my pickaxe is gone, so I can't do stuff. Hey, honey, Henna, how you doing? Sorry, that was not words for a second there. Sorry, that's why it's not letting me place it. I want to place it here. And we'll see if that works. Because again, genuinely don't know how the sprinkler works. Alright, let's see if that works. We'll plant the other seeds tomorrow. Let's go. What are you doing? What does that even mean? You just sparkled on my crops. What's new with me? Not much. Stardew Valley. Okay, so yeah, I thought it only waters the stuff. So we would either need to make a huge grid of sprinklers. Oh, that's not music? Okay, okay, interesting. It was like a wave of sparkles and everything around it grew. I mean, that's interesting. Is there no fertilizer on that side? Why not? I'm just gonna plant these mystery crops. I'm assuming they, yeah. They just plant whatever season is currently active. Yeah, so the sprinklers are good, but I guess, because I know there is better sprinklers you can get. What kind of game is Stardew Valley? It's kind of hard to describe. It is just an RPG in the same way that like Skyrim is just an RPG. Like there's a lot going on. But for the most part, for the main part, I guess it's a farming game. I didn't fertilize those last night. So now they won't be fertilized. Yes. I was shocked that you'd never heard of Stardew Valley, was what I was getting at. This is my first time playing it, but like, I think it's the most popular game on Steam. I think it hit the most popular game on Steam a few weeks ago. Like after like being very high up there for a very long time. I think it's like, I don't know where I read it. Maybe I'm lying. Could be. Okay, we need to keep that melon. Oh no, we need Dirty to keep that melon. We just need a melon. Oh no, we do need to keep both melons. Cool. So I'll leave the gold one in here, and I'll take these guys. We'll sell all but one of those. Do I need? Yes. No sunflower for quality crops. You're in this type of games, or any I'm into a fair range of games. The last game I played was Ready or Not, which is nothing like this game. Okay, I think I can sell all but one of the sunflower as well. Okay, that should get me a hefty amount of money. I don't think this is a boring game. No. I feel like it's quite a peaceful game. But it's also, I'm not playing it to its full extent. There's a lot of care that goes into people playing this for like second and third playthroughs, because there is a lot to do in this game. It's not just farming. And I tend to be really trying to figure out what I can do from day to day already. And I haven't unlocked anything yet, really. Because there is just so much to do. Like, there is something to be said about the kind of quick enjoyment you get from, like, you know, arena shooters and stuff like that. But I feel like this game is stressful in its own other way. Where is Marnie? Can I... Can you... How do I buy things from you? I'm gonna go to Robin and see if Robin sells me the stuff that I need, because you don't seem to be doing anything. I'm assuming Robin buys animals from you and gives them to me. But why is your shop open from 9 to 4 if you don't actually selling? I don't know. I just want chickens. I just need to figure out how to get chickens. Penny, not Penny. You're Robin. I have no use for the coop because I can't figure out how to buy chickens. Does anyone watching know how to buy chickens? Most of yeah, this is competitive in a way that isn't raging, it's just stress. Which is its own different scary kind of situation. Oh, Robin's gone that way, so... Oh, it's Tuesday? She's closed Tuesdays, I think. Is it Tuesdays or Wednesdays? What do you mean stress? I'm just trying to get everything done in time, because there is a ticking clock during the day and there is an energy that you've got to maintain at all times. Like, I've got to run to Robin. I realize that the day is wrong. I've just wasted an hour of my day. We're halfway through the day already. I'm trying to find... And now, like, what do I do now? I've got no other things to do. Because I couldn't find Robin and get my chickens. Oh, I can go to... Is that Leah? Can I just need to talk to you? No, yeah. They are. Marnie has to be open. I need to be able to find chickens. I don't understand. This is a shop. This is where you sell things. Why is Marnie not there ever? Okay, I'm going to get my pickaxe back from Clint. And yeah, so the energy is only used when you use your items. So I'm not actually burning energies just walking around. That's more if I'm cave diving or farming. I might have to worry about energy, but you can just eat to do that, which is why I have a stack of cauliflowers. Okay, Clint, have you got my pickaxe for me? How long does it take you to fix a pickaxe? Okay. I've like completely wasted a day, which is why I was talking about the stress. Only 10 more minutes actually. I've been streaming for nearly 3 hours. And I try and leave it at 3 hours because I have other things I gotta do. And that's just enough. Where I feel like I've played enough. And I don't feel like I've not done anything else. Demetrius, can you get your wife to... I'm a farmer. What things do I stream? I'm all over the place. Like I said, last Monday, I streamed Ready or Not, which is a co-op PvE like SWAT team simulator. What things after stream? I mean, at the moment I gotta go to bed, probably, but just human things, cleaning. What is that? Have I seen that before? Is it a fan? Oh, is it a fan for like... There's no... Oh, there. I'm assuming that's someone's. Why does Mario have 2 floors? Game, sleep, and repeat? No. No. Oh, I didn't mean to go down here. Plenty of stuff. I'm trying to do game design as well, so there's game design stuff I gotta try and do. I have an itch.io page for temporary projects if you wanted to check those out. That's not a railroad, that's a wall. I need to get to the community center, so I guess I'll go there next. I was looking for stuff to forage to maybe make some use of my day. but I'm not seeing anything. I think when it rains, stuff grows for foraging. I pet you yet? I haven't watered the cat. Type of, did I say temporary? What am I looking for? My brain is just mush right now. Prototypes is what I meant to say. I don't know why I said temporary. For prototypes of games that I temporary, like, I might have just, my brain was probably trying to say that games that I'm not working on at the moment, that I've just like kind of put what I have up there, and then I'll come back to them later and like completely change them, kind of thing. Basically just ideas. Yeah. Like at the moment, there's a multiplayer just playing card game, not like like playing cards, like, you know, Ace, Joker, that situation. Also hiking edits. That's just a game that I was playing with my friends that I've never seen anywhere else in real life, and I was like, I want to get a multiplayer, make a multiplayer version of it so that I can play it with people online. And it works. It's like a functioning game. It doesn't look pretty, but it works. There's a horror game that I really want to go back to. I have a lot of plot written for it and like around it. That I just haven't. I don't have the like models and music and stuff, or the money to pay someone else to make the models and music to like make it good. And that's the Obsidian Groundwork. It's called Obsidian Groundwork with like, you know, a hyphen and something else, because the actual game I want to make is not based on the main character of that game at all. It's I'm pretty sure this sunflower. Where is this sunflower going? You'd think it would be in the summer crops bundle, but it's not. So yeah, I want to keep working on that. I've also got another game in the Obsidian kind of universe, basically made in my head, and I'm not even working on that one yet. Oh, it's in the dye bundle. Okay. My experience about using Twitch? I'm not sure what you mean there. How has my experience been using Twitch? Or like, how experienced am I at using Twitch as a Twitch streamer? Not Penny. I was hoping to find Penny today because I think I've missed her twice in a row. Nice. I mean, it's been fun. I don't know. It's fun playing games with people, for people. I have been wanting to do game design streams, but every time I do a game design stream, I realize I can't talk endgame. Oh no. That was probably a fish I need. As like just then where I was trying to talk and I was doing busy doing hard gaming things like click button. When I'm programming or trying to explain what, and having to also explain why I'm programming what I'm programming, I really can't think. And it is a testament to how the popular Twitch streamers are really good at doing that, like talking while gaming and making it interesting. Because, like, people are like, oh no. People are always talking about streamer brain and how people say stupid things on Twitch all the time. And, like, the streamers are dumb. And it's like, they're playing video games, for the most part, like, hard ones. They're probably, like, strategizing in Counter-Strike or something. And they're also talking about their day. I find it hard to say anything when I'm doing half of that stuff. So the fact that these people can hold a conversation while also thinking about the game they're playing, it's pretty insane. They only say stupid stuff every now and then. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm basically streaming for fun. For the most part, I want to stream... I think I wanted to start streaming to be like, this is what I love about gaming. That's the main reason I'm streaming. To kind of talk about gaming and why I like it. Do I need that? I can sell that. And also eventually to showcase my games and be like, hey, I'm a game designer as much as I am a streamer. But again, it's hard to work on games. They take a while, and I have a lot of ideas that I keep giving up. So have a look at my prototypes on itch.io, because I am trying to work on them. There's another game that I'm trying to upload a prototype for in a little bit. As soon as I'm trying my hand at making my own 3D models, because I'm not good at that. Streaming for passion. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I don't have a passion for streaming, because streaming isn't a thing. Streaming is like a medium for entertainment, and I'm streaming to like talk about my love about games and like game design and stuff like that. Other people stream and are trying to like tell a story via the stream, and that kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, I don't have passion for streaming, because if streaming disappeared, I would still upload to YouTube. If YouTube disappeared, I would still try and talk about and make games separately from all that. I'm on Twitch for games, if that makes sense. To play, to showcase, to talk about how good they are. Or how not good they are. If there's a few streams where I really ripped some game devs a new one, I would say. Oh, my face is gone. Hello? Yeah. So yeah. That's what I think about that. I mean, some people might stream for the sake of streaming. It's nice to talk about games with other people. So like, streaming is good in the sense that like, I'm here to talk about games, and there are people who talk about games live with me. If I was doing it on YouTube, I would just have to like make my own opinions and have someone like talk about it after I'd done and dusted with a video for like weeks, kind of thing. And so it's not really a conversation, it's more like a action and reaction situation. Yeah. Basically, yeah. And I feel like that's most Twitch streams are fun talks. At least as far as I've seen, that's the most of the popular Twitch streams at least seem to just be fun talks about any topics. The ones I don't like watching are ones that are just fun talks about themselves. Which is why I'm pretty bad at talking right now, because I'm kind of just talking about myself. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. It's fun. But yeah, I feel like my passion's not streaming. My passion's mostly games, and Twitch is mostly games. So that's fine. But that's why I only stream 2 days a week, 3 hours each stream, because I want to spend the rest of my time making games and other stuff related to games. Yeah, cool. Anyway, I think that'll be it for the stream. I am tired. It is 2 a.m. Yeah. What times the games are you making? So at the moment, I'm making... It's an arcadey, low poly horror game set underwater based on a meme. I don't know how to explain it in a way that's like a good marketing way to explain it. The start of the game was a meme from Tumblr. I think from Tumblr, maybe it was Twitter or something, about how scuba divers have to flip sharks that like are charging towards them. If they rotate the shark away from them, the shark gets confused and stops attacking. And I was like, that's a really funny thing. I want to make a game about it where you have to look for a shark. The shark charges at you and you need to catch and flip the shark. But instead of just rotating it like the scuba divers do, you do cool tricks with the shark. It's actually really cool. I'm like shivering. You do cool tricks with the shark and you earn points like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or something like that. It's playing really well. I like it. It's very like low poly, like chill. There's not that much really going on with it. It's just a fun little kind of project. That's what I'm working on at the moment. I'm not making too many action games. Like I don't have any action games that I'm planning on making soon. But I do have plans for some action games that I want to make in the future. Itchy has logged me out. I wanted to check my stuff. Yeah, I'm mostly into horror games as far as making games, just because I feel like horror games are really fun for telling a story. I think action games for telling stories require you to kind of tell people what's happening, whereas horror games can be a little bit more abstract. Jesus Christ, I'm cold. Yeah, a bad horror game has a bad storyline, but like you can have a bad storyline on an action game and it can be fun still, and like COD and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of people who play COD who've never played the story and they still love the game. Like whatever game that they like. So yeah, I like telling stories in horror games because I feel like the ability to tell the story through like metaphor and being abstract and stuff is a lot more fun. And it's also quite hard because there's so many shooters and stuff like that, it's quite hard to make a game that feels fun as a shooter, because you've got to do a lot of really good stuff with it to just make it feel up to date with the current shooters. Whereas like with horror games, no one knows what's a good horror game, you know what I mean? Because they're all so different. Yeah. So yeah, the games that I currently have on itch.io, I'm just had a look. There's Obsidian Groundwork, which again, it's a little bit broken at the moment. I'm going to rework on it later. Make a Coffee, which is buggy, but done. It's a horror game about kind of waking up with depression, essentially. There's a Shopper's Horror, which is just about trying not to be asked for assistance in a grocery store. Just avoiding the shopkeepers trying to go, hey, do you need something? Do you need help? Because that pisses me off. And it's actually, the store's design is based on a store that I work at currently. The layout of it, which playing it, it's kind of annoying, and it's like, yeah, that's the store is an annoying layout. So all those prototype games are on itch.io. You can download and play them on computer, and they all work to varying degrees. The Shark Flipper game, I'm not sure I'm going to release that, and I'm not sure, I don't have any plans concrete to like work on and release the new games. I think once I finish Shark Flipper and upload to itch.io, I'm going to start like going, okay, how long will it take me to re-release Obsidian Groundwork and like keep going through those games and make them pretty and fun and playable, and then I might release them on like Steam. Maybe I'll try to do like a, I don't know if I want to release it on Steam or if I want to wait till, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to release it on Steam if it's a functioning good game. So if I try and do that, maybe I'll do that. At the moment I'm making it alone, which is why I am struggling with the prototypes mostly, because I can do music and I can program, but it's slow. I'm really bad at 3D modeling. I'm bad at most like visual art. A lot of the prototypes are related to itch.io, like if they aren't royalty-free assets, they're like text-based kind of thing. I've been trying to get a friend to do it in a partnership with me who does like 3D modeling, but we are both very busy people, and it's very hard to organize something when you're both very, very busy people. So yeah, but maybe in the future, if I get more heavily into game design, I can make stuff faster with people. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I'm hopefully streaming in my morning slot next week on the Monday, because I don't know. Well, I probably won't be streaming Monday next week, which is my normal time slot. I might try and stream another morning. I'm trying to think of a morning I can, and I'm not coming up with any answers, so we'll see. This month and next month is going to be very odd for streams. It'll just kind of be like, I'll announce it half an hour before I'm streaming and on Blue Sky and X, Twitter. I'm assuming you just followed me. Nothing popped up. And I can't read that thing. Yes, thanks for the follow. And I will hopefully see you around. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bunny out.